I don't think there's anything wrong with it with the OnlyFans model because if I remember correctly, the revenue per employee at OnlyFans was the highest out of any of the tech companies
Yeah.
last year. I don't know if you heard about that. So
You are tuned in to the Money Script Podcast. Today, we will share strategies to help you grow your financial literacy and improve your money script. I'll be back with some important announcements. Until then, enjoy the show.
welcome to the Money Script Podcast. It's your host, Johannes Harrison. So happy to be with each and every one of you today. Welcome. We are getting deeper into season 6, 2026 of the Money Script Podcast. As you know, we took a brief pause. I had some life things that were going on, but it's all good. It was good stuff. I talked about it already. We don't have to get into it right now. Today, I have a repeat guest that has become not only a friend, but a brother from another mother. Mr. Dasarte Yarnway. He is the founder of Bench. We are going to be talking about sports. We're going to be talking about this new platform that he's built and how it's going to help athletes and enterprises and teens and just creators from all over the world have a place where they can show their talents, where they can get paired with advertisers, where they can. There's a lot of things they can do. Actually, we're still discovering all the things that can be done on this platform. So I'm really excited about the conversations you're going to hear. He's also going to give you some predictions. He is a sports guy, so he's going to give his prediction on the NBA Finals, which by the time you listen to this may or may not have already happened. You'll see that we don't quite agree. He has his view and I have mine. He is a bit biased when it comes to NFL. I'm just going to say that. He for some reason, he did not mention my Panthers at all, which I guess, I mean, why would he? He's a NorCal guy. And also talking some FIFA, some World Cup. He has an interesting take on that. And I'll say I pretty much agree with him. So, but do yourself a favor, do a friend a favor. If you know a student athlete, if you know someone else that is a coach of a team or a manager of a team, you might want to send this episode to them. I'm confident they're going to want to learn a little bit more about the Bench, and how it can support them in their efforts. So without any further ado, let's get to our interview with Dasarte. Dasarte, my man, it's been a month of Sundays. How you been?
I've been really, really well, man. I cannot complain. My family, as I like to say, is happy, healthy, and secure. So there are literally no complaints and only blessings. Thank you so much for having me on your show today.
And I'm glad to have you back because we did this before, right? This isn't.
Yeah, in the beginning. In the very beginning.
In the closet, the COVID closet days.
Yes.
I was recording in the closet. I do remember that. And that's when you introduced me to Ultras. Look at that.
Yeah. Man. Serendipitous, man. So thank you for having me on the show then. Thank you for having me on it now. And thank you for just being, somebody that's been in my corner through every stage of my career. As you know, I'm an entrepreneur, so I've always got an idea, but you've done your share of counseling and helping me to make, the best decisions as I navigate greatness. So I really appreciate you.
Hey, it was all reciprocal, man. I was just giving back what you were giving me. That's it. I wish I could say I'm that unique of an individual, but I'm not. I saw greatness in you. You saw it in me, and we've been lifting each other up since then. So, and speaking of lifting up in entrepreneurship, you've got a brand new thing going now. I see you got the logoed chest plate there. Yeah. What? Well, I know what Bench is, but tell us what is Bench?
Yeah. Well, before we get to Bench, man, I just want to say to your audience, like my name is Dasarte Yarnway. I'm super happy to be on the podcast here today. And in another life, I was a financial advisor, wealth manager, just like Johannes, running my firm for right around 9 years before exiting that firm in mid 2024 to pursue this project, which is called Bench. And there's a bunch of technical ways that I can explain what Bench is, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But the most relatable way is Bench is my life turned inside out. It's a mirror of me going into a piece of technology to help impact as many people as it possibly can. For those who haven't listened to that first episode that we did, I'm a son of 2 immigrants that escaped the Civil War. My mom was literally born on a rubber plantation. I played football at the University of California, Berkeley, running back, All-American, NFL bound prior to tearing my ACL. Managed to matriculate into finance, and that's how I was able to meet you, Johans. And, just start businesses, help advisors at the time scale their businesses, right? And sit next to some of the greatest entrepreneurs in our industry, right? Most notably Jason Wank, who is the CEO and founder of Altruist, right? And Bench is a convergence of all of these experiences into one idea and one venture, right? So you have media through Altruist and scaling my own firm. You have finance through serving people in wealth management, being a part of the Altruist journey. Then you have athletics, which is sports media, and which is one of the fastest growing verticals in media, period, is sports media, right? So Bench essentially is the revenue engine that helps individual creators, teams, and leagues monetize their content more efficiently. If you are in this space or not, there are a couple like alarming stats that just are signaling the shift that is happening in sports media, which is one, if you watch any bit of TV, 96 of the top 100 programs that came on last year were all sporting events. Every network right now is trying to have a podcast vertical for sports entertainment, right? And there are hundreds of individual podcast creators coming to market per day. With that being said, sports and the creator economy in sports is growing at almost 30% a year, right? So when you take all of these stats, there's something there that there is no company that is really taking advantage and providing a gateway for these people to own and monetize their work more efficiently. And as we say in the sports industry, we're the last frontier. So when technology happens, you're usually last to get it in sports. You know what I mean? But it doesn't have to be that way. So again, Bench is that monetization engine for sports creators, which is a big umbrella, teams, leagues, to monetize their work more efficiently.
What do you define what you mean by monetize their work? Because I mean, what comes to mind first is I'm thinking about NIL and all that fun stuff. I mean, that's a form of monetization, but it seems like what you're doing is on a much more grassroots or even granular level.
I would say it's a bigger idea than just NIL. So name, image, and likeness is essentially, for those who don't know, is a rule that was passed by the NCAA, allowing college athletes to finally get a piece of their jersey sales. That's how it started. And any video game appearances that would happen, like NCAA.
Yeah. I remember that.
NCAA, games that they would be in. Because if you think of like the Reggie Bush for the time, which was really like the biggest star in college football for a while, they probably sold millions of jerseys and never received a cent. So that forced a lot of college athletes at the time to backdoor and receive payments from people when technically they earned it, but they would get in trouble because the NCAA owned the rights to your name, your image, and your likeness. So when people talk about NIL, it's really supposed to be for you to kind of create businesses, use your likeness to go sign jerseys and do things to receive payment for, be a brand ambassador for a car dealership or something like that and be paid for that. Our business is way bigger than that opportunity, but will benefit from the opportunity that athletes can now make money from their name, image, and likeness. So our business, when we think about creators, we're talking about the millions of people that have a mic like this, that have their phones like this, right? And they're posting content, but the old legacy platforms have essentially created these platforms for attention, right? So everything in regards to the algorithm and the experiences, so you can hopefully get as many views as you can. There are people with millions of followers that are broke. You know what I mean? So we flipped that philosophy on its head and said, hey, there are communities that have raging fans in sports, and they're looking for ways to be more proximate to their team, to their favorite creator, to their favorite athlete. And as it exists today, the athlete has really few ways to monetize on these larger platforms. So we've created, an ecosystem, a platform, use whatever word you want, that starts with creator monetization first. We can kind of unpeel the onion there and talk about what is creator monetization. But essentially in sports, there's always been 5 types of monetization. So there's ticketing, right? Being live at the event. There's sponsorships. So when you go to a game and you see like a patch on the jersey, or those are real life sponsorships, activations. But there's digital activations as well. There's ads, right? You can see that on YouTube programmatically popping up pre, mid, and end roll in your video. And then there's
or in the lower thirds.
Right.
Yeah.
There's direct monetization or subscription where I can say, hey, yo, I love your show. I know you have exclusive episodes. I want to pay this $3 a month to like watch your show, right? And there's gaming, as we mentioned before. We've condensed most of this into one platform where a creator can use our tools and do all of those things on Bench. So instead of just saying, hey, I hope this gets views, and I hope these views add up to something that I can take home and buy groceries, we're giving you everything that you need to be able to create your media business on Bench.
Now, at what level is this? Is this at a collegiate level? Is this at a professional level? Who is this for?
Yeah, so we actually have had colleges tested. We did the WNBA's G League last year in the Tournament of Champions. We had a TV channel, a regional TV channel, actually signed as a client most recently, and they, with regional sports networks, they're only in that region, so it's like a radius of 50 miles or something. I don't know. And they're like, we want national exposure because our content is great, but only X amount of people are seeing it. You know what I mean? So the way that I've constructed my thesis is like, Bench should be used by sports properties at every level. So professional, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, all the sports professional levels, all the way down to Pop Warner. If a mom, has her parents in Florida, is retired, but she wants to watch the grandson play in California, you should be able to go on Bench and see them play. You know what I mean? And the infrastructure is that easy to use. So it's taken a lot of iterations, a lot of elite engineering, a lot of time, effort, money to build the platform to get to this stage. But the market is so big for what Bench can be and will be over time.
So when you mentioned the monetization aspect, you said from the professionals all the way down to the Pop Warner. I mean, let me selfishly talk about myself. I'm a soccer coach for a U9. Well, now we're going to U10 soccer league, and we, we have our regional following, of course. But there is at time to time where I have family members that can't make it to the game, or she has is that a great grandmother? Yeah, great grandmother who is bedridden right now, so she's not getting out to the game. So you're saying there's a way that if we were Bench clients, there was a way that we could make ourselves be seen nationwide if we wanted to, but how could that turn into monetization? I mean, because our team's always raising money, we're selling candy and donuts and stuff like that so we can get jerseys. I mean, is this another method of monetization for our team?
It is, exactly. So actually I was in San Diego with my daughter like 2 years ago when this idea first like caught fire in my brain. And we're on the boardwalk right across from Coronado, and we're walking, and this young black girl comes up to us and selling chocolate. Like, hey, I play AAU basketball, and we're doing a fundraiser for chocolate. You probably have to do that. We're old school, so we had to do that back in the day as well. And that stuck with me because I'm like, man, take all my money, one, but two, she's only going to reach a certain amount of people on this boardwalk today, right? Out of all these people, maybe like 5% might feel something to give her, right? On Bench, a Pop Warner team like I played on, our AAU team, can essentially run donations through subscriptions or through one-time PPV. We have pay-per-view tickets. I actually have a boxing club that's running a fight that will be using Bench for the pay-per-view tickets. They can do that all on Bench. So now you're saying, hey, you want to donate to my team? We have seasonal subscriptions or something at $10 a month. You can support a child or something like that. You know what I mean? And They can do that through Bench. So I think these use cases are far and wide. And it's just my methodology, my philosophy is saying, let's create the infrastructure and people will innovate on top of it. Right? So when you think about like Stripe, or when you think about Shopify is a good example, right? Like, we're giving you the infrastructure to build your store. I don't know what clothes you're going to sell. I don't know what products you're going to actually sell, but I know that with this infrastructure, it'll be more efficient than the way that you're selling today. and that's the same case for bench.
So this can be done from a team perspective, but it could also be done individually as an athlete.
Yeah, athletes are brands. You know, one of my sisters was a big blogger back in the day, and they would send like jeans, House of Darion, Beyonce jeans or something for bloggers to review, right? And that was like that was another form of distribution for a lot of companies at that point. Now, people with built-in followings, personal brands are the new bloggers. They are the new marketing channels. A couple reasons why. They have built-in trust from their audience, right? It's cheaper than running a commercial on the Super Bowl or, getting a premier spot on TV, right? And their demographic are buyers. So an individual has so much power, influence. That's why we call them influencers, to influence a demographic of people. They often want to like monetize those people for themselves. As it exists today, influencers are creating, other products to monetize. So let's say, my wife likes doing hair. She gets 1 million followers. She's like, maybe I should create a hair brand, you know what I mean? To now monetize those 1 million followers. But your content is a product itself. There's just no efficient ways to charge for it, and no rails, no systems that make that process efficient. Does that make sense? So yeah, individuals, I think that we'll have a ton of individuals using Bench. And actually, like, we're trying to create Q&A to make sure that Bench doesn't turn into like OnlyFans or something, because, it's just such a good system, to use if you really are trying to monetize your work.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it, with the OnlyFans model, because if I remember correctly, the revenue per employee at OnlyFans was the highest out of any of the tech companies last year. I don't know if you heard about that. So
like 300, 400,000. Yeah. And
yeah, which is insane. So, okay. So, if we're on again, getting back to my selfishness here. So as a coach for a team, if we were to assimilate on Bench, you're saying we could do everything from donation-based subscriptions. If we had, someone recording our games, we could potentially have, or even just highlights, we could have a place where that could live.
Yes.
But I have so many other questions about, getting into these are kids essentially. So, I mean,
right.
Would I have to go to all the parents and get permission to be able to put their child onto this website? I mean, I'm just curious about logistics. Again, I'm being incredibly selfish here, but.
Right. I mean, I think organizationally, maybe you want to do some permissions, but that's not at a Bench level, right? So you're like, hey, when you sign up, you're like, do we have permission to stream the games? Your kids are going to be on the games. I mean, at my school, the school that my daughters go to, they market a lot. So they take pictures of the kids. They're like, can we take pictures of your kids for brochures or something? Maybe you want to do that just to be safe. But what we provide is a functionality. What you will provide is a process on how that gets done. We make it easy for you to stream the games, capture income, right, through the tools. Like with our integration with Stripe and, different services, Google Cloud and AWS, that allows us to store all of the, the work that you're doing. Super safe, super, trusted services. It's the innovation that comes from the teams and the creators that will make Bench valuable, right? One of the neat things is like you'll be able to just take your phone, put your channel browser or whatever into your browser and just stream by putting your phone up. You'll have a soccer overlay. Somebody can keep score, press a button when somebody hits a goal. You know what I mean? So you have all those tools at your disposal to make it work. So yeah, selfishly, you'll if you're being selfish, you'll be able to do everything that you want to do from the platform.
Interesting. And how does Bench get paid?
So Bench gets paid in a couple ways. We take a 5% take rate for all transactions, which is an industry high. So all the payments that you receive 95% of those payments, which is probably the highest in the industry. We do.
I think that's better than what's the one where you raise money all the time? What's that?
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe. I think it's better than GoFundMe.
Probably. I mean, and that's the benefit of, you know, being lean. We also do subscriptions. So there's like super streamers out there, right? We charge bundles of streaming hours at a time. So let's say you for a month, you're going to need 10 hours of streaming or something. We have packages that kind of align with people's needs for their business, right? And then we do 30% take rate on like ads and sponsorship matches. So for example, we had a case last year where a local pizza shop did $100,000 to market through high school football teams, right?
Okay.
And we just used the data that we got from all of the teams in the area, and we paired their ads with that football team. So in the middle of the game, the color commentator would say like, "Hey, this is brought to you by this pizza shop, Johan's Pizza Shop, down on this street in San Francisco. They're sponsoring this game. Go get a slice of pizza after the game." And the pizza shop was right across the street from the stadium where the game was played. So that was shown on the stream. So again, taking all of those components of the sports industry and distilling it down so that the everyday creator, the semi-pro team, the high school, the youth team can have a system to monetize more efficiently.
Freaking brilliant. And you said, "Oh, this idea all came from seeing a young lady sell some chocolate for her AAU team."
Well, the youth league idea did, but I think for me it was a convergence of my experience. Like, if we just counted like being a college football player, a star, in a sense, tearing your ACL, sitting on the bench. That's why the name is bench, because from the bench you have the best view of the game, right?
See what you did there.
Okay, you see that? And then going into finance and learning how to build businesses that scale. Because at the end of the day, they're great ideas and they're great businesses. Those are two different things. You know what I mean? A great idea can work, but that doesn't mean it's a great business. You see this on the stock market all the time where it's like, man, we needed Uber, but Uber is very expensive to run and took a long time to be profitable, So, you have great ideas, you have impactful ideas, you have game-changing ideas, but sometimes they don't make for good businesses over a long period of time. So just learning what makes a good business, that's the financial experience. And then media experience. Like, I was the head of community and, content podcasting at Altruist, and I grew my firm strictly from content. Like, I didn't do many things well outside of being able to like create content, attract my next client through the work and the value that we put out via content. So when you take athletic experience and understanding, sports media, when you take content generation, right, and using that as a funnel to acquire clients, and when you take understanding, what makes a good business, you jumble all of them together and you get bench. So,
got it. All right, I need to switch gears with you really quick because there is a very controversial topic that I want to discuss with you. That's irks my nerve every day of the week. Can we talk about gambling?
Gambling, let's talk about it, sure.
It really bothers me to see LeBron James, Kevin Hart, what's his name from the Clippers, Blake Griffin, even KG. I mean, the list goes on of these athletes that are taking these massive checks from these gambling companies and promoting gambling. I mean, it is prolific. Every commercial break during the finals, every time the sportscasters are doing recaps, etc., I see something about gambling in the lower thirds. Or when they're doing the pregame, they're talking about the odds of this and the odds of that and how you can go start gambling for free, which is an oxymoron in itself. Gamble for free? No, that's not. How is it that, even if we're going to talk about the stock market and financial industry, which is a multi-billion, probably trillion-dollar industry in itself, how is it that we can't promote saving money Or how is it that these athletes can be okay with promoting gambling when we know that it's like one of the worst vices that destroy financial literacy, financial wealth in some of the most underserved communities? So as an athlete, as someone that has this platform, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have a number of thoughts in regards to gambling and how it's sort of been an infestation in sports media. And we can just like break them all down. So number one, gambling and the attachment to sports and specifically athletes with influence almost proves my thesis. It actually proves my thesis for how athletes are a form of distribution for products, right? So, take gambling out and put, Old Spice in, take gambling out and put a watch in, a Whoop in, any product in. Athletes are the gateway to mass distribution at one time because of trust, loyalty, and credibility, right? So again, just speaking of it that way, like we can distill that process for brands all the way to mom and pop shops, right? To creators and athletes that have built-in trust. So that's number one. I think it lies with the individual on what their morals are, to choose what they're willing to take on as a sponsorship opportunity. But that proves a thesis of bench. Number two, I don't like it. You know what I mean? Specifically with gambling, because it does not promote health, wealth, the betterment of society. And I think that there are a ton of companies across industries that play these games that market to human vices, that market to, human vulnerabilities. And this is another example of that, right? It's like, okay, well, I know you're going to gamble anyway. We should be the people that take advantage of it, and we're going to do it in a way that the distribution feels credible, right? I don't think that's the best thing to do. And then number three, I think that, the sports industry has become a bigger industry. It's a bigger business than it was even 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And to sustain such industry, you're always looking for new revenue streams, new partnerships, right? So on one end, it's like the business of maintaining and sustaining and growing a business, and it's gambling's moment. You know what I mean? That helps with that. So it's a convergence of a lot of things that are happening right now that is forcing gambling to be in the spotlight. I think in the pandemic, gambling really had a run because people were at home and sports was the only thing on that you can really gamble on. You know what I mean? And some of the pandemic vices are still around. Like the number of people that were drinking went up, the gambling went up in the pandemic, right? And people are still riding that wave. So I'm interested to see what happens over the next 5 to 7 years, right? When the world, barring, any other catastrophic generational events that could happen, the world normalizes a little bit. Like, do these things stay in place? Does anything change? If it's not gambling, is it drinking, or, will it change? So interested in it, not a fan of it, not supportive of anything that's going to necessarily tear people down. But on the other side, I know, like anything, businesses are opportunistic, right?
Yeah, and it just frustrates me that you have these, like you said, proving your thesis about athletes being the gateway through the trust that's already built and the loyalty that's already built to these athletes. But
correct,
these athletes and entertainers, for that matter, some of them are worth millions. To them, losing $500, $1,000, I mean, that's how much they make in a minute. But for the average Joe or Sally, to gamble away their rent money, their light bill, their food money, their kids' scholarship and tuition money. I was reading an article the other day, actually, that a client sent to me, where there's an author or a journalist that examined the lives of some women whose husbands were secretly gambling behind their back. And there was a story about one where I think he gambled away like $300,000 over a period of years. like from their kids' college fund. And I know the gambling mindset is like, oh, well, all I have to do is win once and my kid can go to Princeton. But, something for a lot of people that day never comes. So it just really, it's disturbing. Like you said, it really just shows the values of these entertainers and these athletes, but it's disturbing that they promote this vice like it's okay. And it's disturbing that these companies have made it so accessible. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't gamble. Okay. I love me some March Madness. I'm gonna put out a couple $100 every year, fill out my little March Madness sheet and see if anything comes back. I like if I happen to be in Vegas, because I don't use any of the apps. So if I happen to be in Vegas before the football season starts, I'm gonna go throw $50 on my Panthers to go to Super Bowl and $25 to win the NFC Championship, because you got to kind of hedge your bets there. And I don't mind sitting down at a friendly poker table. And that's but again, these are more. It's more as a vacation than because I've seen it. I've looked at as a financial advisor, I've looked at clients' financial transactions, and I'll see the 25, 30, 45, 50, 60 something dollars a day going to these gambling apps, and not a lot of money coming back the other way.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's gambling, right?
Yeah, but even if we think about the accessibility of it, I mean, do you have any concerns of how Bench is now exposing more games that could potentially expose more gambling? I mean, I'd hate to say it, but I wouldn't want to see gambling happening on my daughter's, U10 soccer league. But if the access is there and availability is there, I mean, that could happen.
Yeah, so one of the things that we did early with Bench, because we were actually working with a private school, and private school had one of the best ball teams in Northern California. And one of the things that they wanted was to not be associated with any gambling, any sort of sin stock adjacent stuff like vaping and things of that nature. So when you look at one of our flagship products, which is Sponsor Match AI, it's essentially an AI tool that we use to scrape data off of videos, demographics, views, click-through rate, stuff like that, to match with sponsors. We give the power to the group. Let's say in this case, it's your men's, basketball league team, to choose what sponsorships they are willing to advocate for or not. So, we'll put this in a real life term. So Johan's men's basketball league does, 1,000 views every video. The pizza shop down the street wants to use you to market something, and, a gambling company does as well. You'll get both of those in your inbox, and you can accept or deny which one. So that you want to, use or take the money for, to now put that ad roll or read or overlay in your video. So we're giving power back to the creators, number one. Number two, technology is powerful. So to allow something like that to exist is a line of code to ensure that you're screening all of the sponsors or screening all the opportunities that come through your platform, right? So I think there's a little bit of a value system here, right? That you can say, hey, we're going to do everything in our power, right, technologically, to ensure that our platform operates with the highest form of ethics and morals, our moral standard. And I think that's important too. When you start using money as your moral compass, you'll do anything, So I think it's important to, as a founder, to really look at it and say like, hey, what is the best experience for all these people, in their different levels? What gives them the most opportunity to monetize, but also keep the integrity of who we are as a company and me as a founder. So it's really no great answer to that, because people will bet on anything nowadays. But to the best of our ability, we want to protect everyone on the platform and not having them be a subject of, something that we probably can't control.
Yeah. I have a lot of listeners that are parents to student athletes. high school, maybe even starting to think about their collegiate opportunities. For someone that's been in that role as a student athlete and now, like you said, is set at many different tables, from technology to branding and promoting and advising. What are some of the things that parents should be thinking about educating their student athletes about their brand and monetization in this new technologically advanced world that we're in?
Yeah. I think the big theme here for athletes, creators, teams, leagues is a brand is hard to build and easy to break. So a brand is fragile, So whether that's in person and how you communicate and look somebody in the eye and shake their hand with a firm handshake, or digitally what you're saying and doing, right? All these components are to your brand, and you have to remember that it's hard to build and easy to break. So you want to make sure that whenever you're outside of this house as a parent, speaking to their kids, right, you are representing yourself and this family with the utmost level of integrity and respect. And I think that's a big takeaway for student athletes in this day and age, because there's a lot of copycats online, and these kids are born with cell phones, so there's a lot of influences, again, that kids are trying to emulate. But if that doesn't align with whatever your family standard is, it's probably something that we should continue to coach and counsel our kids on not doing in real time, because, as we know, we all make mistakes as kids, and our kids will make mistakes.
There's no proof of the mistakes I made because there were no cell phones. So,
right. So now when it happens, this is a teaching opportunity for us to now say, like, hey, remember we talked about a brand is hard to build and easy to break. These actions, if continued, could break your brand and limit your opportunities to do whatever you want to do. Be a doctor or, play professional football, And I think we now more than ever have to really lean into those teaching opportunities with our kids in the age of the internet.
And what should parents be thinking about financially? Again, with the influx of NIL, and I'm hearing that NIL is starting to trickle its way into, and not directly NIL, but the monetization of student athletes is starting to trickle into high schools around the country. Mm-hmm. So where does the conversation start with the parent? Because a lot of times these parents are also impoverished themselves.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the conversations with the parents start with getting educated themselves, right? And talking to somebody like you, if those opportunities present themselves, and hopefully before that, right? Because a parent that is not educated will only transfer uneducated information, or hypotheses onto their children. So I think, the thing that I think about the most is, how can we educate some of the gatekeepers, some of the NIL agents that have their professional athletes on bench, or, some of the schools that might shoot their, student athletes onto bench. How do we educate them? Because it's going to be important for them to say, like, hey, you can use all these tools to monetize, and this is your moment, right? This is how you do it. So I think the same goes with parents. Like, parents have to be an example of what they want their kids to, exude and demonstrate in the world.
Indeed. Agreed. So for all of our student athletes, creators, and enterprises, as you so eloquently pointed out on LinkedIn this morning, and every time I open LinkedIn, Dasarte's on there. I don't know if I think they know that we're friends, and I open up, he's the first thing there. So I was learning about enterprises, your most recent post. How can they learn more about Bench? Where can they find more information?
Yeah. I would tell everybody, jointhebench.com is where the wait list is. So on launch day, which is June 8th, you'll get a ton of information on how to
Wait, what was that launch day again?
June 8th, 2026.
It's my birthday.
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
I know you did.
So June 8th, 2026 is the launch day on Bench. And where you can watch all the content on launch day is benchsports.com. benchsports.com, right? So yeah, we're excited about it. We think that this is an impactful business that will scale and help a lot of people. And that's the way that I look at everything, is like, how can I help as many people? For the entrepreneurs that are listening to the conversation, think about impact in terms of like, will this business help people? And the more people you help, the more successful your business will be. And I think Bench has a chance to do that.
Got it. All right. And since we are recording this in the midst of a lot of sports things that are going on, we'll see if it gets out in time. Even if it doesn't, we'd love to know your answer. Who's taking the NBA Finals?
Good question. I think it's going to be Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City over the Knicks?
Over the Knicks.
Okay. And did you agree with the MVP?
That's tough. I don't think I agree. While SGA is a great player and, very fluid on a basketball court, there's something to be said about Wemby and the way that he plays the game at both sides of the court. So I think if I were to choose, I think we're looking at a generational player in Victor Wembanyama. His range, his ability as a big man and a guard is something that we might not see again. And we had that same conversation with LeBron over 20 years ago. You know what I mean? I think Wemby has a chance to be someone we will never forget.
It was very interesting to see David Robinson talk about Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, he is a generational player. Like when I saw him launch the ball basically from Curry's range and sink it, and like I don't even understand the physics of that shot. I don't. Anyways. All right. And since we are way ahead of time, we can call I don't know, how much do you watch soccer now? I do now. Do you have any calls on FIFA this year?
I've been.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be competitive, to be honest. I think U.S. has a chance to make it decently far. I don't think they will win.
Okay. Agreed.
I think Brazil is going to make a run because Neymar, this is his last season, his last World Cup. And I think England has a chance as well. The dark horses are going to be like an African country that just breaks out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So thinking about like Morocco or Egypt or something that just breaks out and like wins a couple games. Then you have small European countries that always tend to do pretty well. But I would say Brazil can go a long ways this year, and they want to make kind of like Messi was a while back when Messi had his tour. They knew he was getting old. You know what I mean? So I think Brazil has a good chance.
Okay. All right. And finally, to get to your sport, the draft just wrapped up not too long ago. Been a lot of trades and moves. Athletes are headed to OTAs and such. Last year was an interesting year. I just want to let me ask about New England.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a hell of a run they had last year.
It was.
Do you think, especially with all the controversy around the team right now, do you think it's going to be a distraction? Do you think it was a fluke, or do you think he can do it again?
I think they'll be good. I don't think they will be. I think they could have similar success as last year, but I don't think they're ready for the Super Bowl. They still have to make some adjustments. Quarterback has to mature. And there's just a number of pieces that they need more time in, you know what I mean, together. But I think they'll be good. They have an elite coaching staff there and a franchise that knows how to win, have won a lot. So I think they know they have a culture of winning and a culture of working hard. If I were to pick somebody that has a decent chance at going the distance, I don't think Seattle will repeat. A lot of those players have gotten deals. The running back that just took the show and got MVP last year is gone. I think San Francisco, if healthy, can make a run. I think Chicago has a chance to go far. You know what I mean? And, I want to say the Bills, but they just fired their coach. So there's a lot of changes, a lot of shifting going on. But I think San Francisco, Chicago, it's LA's last year with Stafford, presumably, right? So we'll just have to see when the season comes up who kind of takes the cake.
All right. Well, it's been recorded. It's in the can, so we get to go back and see how well your prediction markets went. Um,
No one's paying me $1 million to say this,
yet. Dasarte, we really appreciate you hanging out with us again on the Money Script podcast. Please, as you're listening, if you know of an enterprise, if you know of a student organization, a sports organization that is looking for ways to get more eyeballs, to get more involved with their community, or to raise capital, create awareness, just know that Bench is an opportunity for that. And again, like you heard me say, selfishly, I'm thinking about as a coach, I've poured a considerable amount of money into the team, just my own, out of the kindness of my heart. And I'm a volunteer coach. But I know that there's a community that's there that's willing to help. And I've had parents ask, so do you record the games? I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. But then, of course, as soon as they say it, I get these ads in my Instagram, or these machines you can set up that basically follow the ball for a whole soccer game. I didn't even know that was a thing. And puts it right to your phone. So, who knows? Maybe this could be an opportunity. And I also want to just thank you, Dasarte, for your innovation, your selflessness, and your desire just to make your communities better and the people, and create more opportunities for people in your community and people around the world. Because this is something that, this is a worldwide idea. And I think it's a great idea, and I think it's a great business. So I'm really excited. I'm going to join that wait list now that I know it's available, and it'll give me something to do on my birthday. And you said it was website again?
Benchsports.com, June 8th.
Benchsports.com, June 8th. I'll be tuned in. I'm looking forward to poking around and seeing what else is out there. I'm also thinking, especially if there's other junior leagues out there, it's one of the hardest things for my players is they can go on YouTube and they can watch a lot of adults play soccer. Mm-hmm. But, if there's other younger leagues out there that they can go out and see other people like them actually play, and something they can actually just watch right there on their phones, on their iPads, things of that nature, I think that's a great resource as well. So yeah, like you said, the resources, the permutations of this are endless. And I know, like you said, you're creating the platform so that others can go and create the processes and the implementations of utilizing that platform. And I think that's genius. I do. Awesome. So, all right, brother. Well, I appreciate you, man. And next time I'll see you on was it the Bench Live?
Yeah, we'll do it live.
All right, brother. Look forward to it. I appreciate you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
I'm back. Wasn't that a great show? I hope you learned something. I know I did. Now, before you go trying anything you heard today, remember, it is not intended to be specific tax or legal advice. If you need that, go see a CPA or an attorney. If you would like any complimentary consultation with a knowledgeable advisor, visit moneyscript.com and schedule a 15-minute consultation. Want Johans to come speak at your next event? Go to the Money Script website for that too. Of course, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. MoneyScript Wealth Management is a registered financial advisory service in multiple states. Want to learn more? Get the full disclosure on our website, moneyscript.com.